Good morning, everybody, and welcome to It Just Means More Football and Coffee. We're back. Took another week off last week. Life is full, which is good, Craig. We love for life to be full. I'm
Yep.
Rob Williams. He is Craig McMichael. We're here. I am back in the studio. He is live from Sunshine State. What's happening, brother? How's it going?
I'm doing great. I'm at MCO Orlando Airport. Looking forward to chatting with you today. Been here for a conference for my own professional development. Been a good time, and you know what? We are showing flexibility in our commitment. I don't have a coffee. That is coming just after that. Maybe some hunker too. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. No coffee at the airport? There's plenty of access, Craig.
There is, but when you got a 25 minute to go walk through the gate, and then you want to talk to your good buddy about some college football, even coffee can wait, but football cannot.
Okay, well, I'm not changing it up at all. I don't know what your taste in music is, but I'm I feel like mine's pretty well rounded, right? I listen to a lot of different stuff, but being from the South, I was
Hmm.
kind of raised on country music a little bit,
Yep.
and so Luke Combs has a song called "Blue Collar Boys." I'm the farthest from it, from from the seat that I'm sitting in right now. But I was raised in the middle of nowhere with my feet in the dirt. And there's a line in the song when he describes these blue collar boys that says that they love their Maxwell house steaming out of a coffee cup. And so here I am this morning. It's been one heck of a work week, and my Maxwell house is steaming out of this cup. I feel a little tired from the weight of work this week. So I need my Maxwell house to pick me up. It's good to the last drop.
It is.
Maxwell House
It is.
sponsoring us here. That just means more football and coffee.
I thought you were going to talk about being way down yonder on Chattahoochee.
I wish I was on the Chattahoochee today. That'd be nice.
That would
That'd be
that,
a
that,
nice,
that would be
would be a
nice.
nice little rest. It'd be a nice little rest from where we're at. But yeah, I can get down with that too.
Yeah, that's
Anyway,
good.
all right. So main course today, obviously, it's springtime. So we are in spring ball talk. Two
Yep.
kind of different worlds when we look at this. Let's start with the portal. I think that the spring portal, which I have been gently reprimanded for referring to it as the spring portal in my articles at Last Word, because there's no difference between there is no quote unquote spring portal, but I like to label it that way because essentially
Sorry, Uncle Tony. Yes, there is. There is a spring portal, and
it's
there is a winter portal. They're two different things.
we're open here in the spring. Transfer portal is open and during the
Yep.
spring, so it's open April 16th to April 30th.
Yep.
So by the time you guys hear this, it's closing up in a couple of days.
Yep.
Um, I feel like it's cut season is the primary purpose of this spring window. That there are, for example, South Carolina, and we'll get to this in a minute, but we had
Yep.
a offensive lineman started some games last year, went into the portal a couple of days ago. And you get some people. I mean, you tagged me in the tweet, you quote tweeted it or whatever, and people start to throw their eyes up when you have players hit the portal.
Yep.
I think it's just a sign that he's dropping down the third string. He worked with the second team during spring, and you see some younger
Yep.
talent coming in. You see some transfers coming in. I think that can be said across college football rosters,
Yep.
across positions. As the things shuffle out and you drop down the depth chart, they're going, "Hey man, I think it's going to serve you best
To get up.
if you
So
go find somewhere else."
So, because again, I'm in a conference in Orlando, I'm going to give you some corporate speak of what the spring portal is. It's called right sizing your roster. You see, in December, you go out and you bring in as many as you can, whether that's a high school kid, whether that's a college kid, and you bring them all in. And then when spring ball is over, you got to right size your roster. You got to get back to 85. And I think we should talk about 85 at some point this summer. Let's not do it today. But that's what that spring portal's for. And, we have plenty of chicken littles in college football. They're complaining about how bad everything is. Oh my gosh, the portal's ruining the game. Well, guess what? If you look at the actual numbers outside of Boulder, Colorado, on average, a team has had like one or two players at the portal, like when you do the math. Almost nobody is rebuilding a roster right now in the spring. So so to me, it's like, the spring portal, it's about right sizing. It's making sure that your quarterback room, for example, is bolstered. There's a team in Athens, Georgia. I don't know if you knew them or not, but the Georgia Bulldogs.
I haven't heard of them.
I've chatted about it once or twice. They're in on our boy Jaden Rashada, who is now going to be on his about fourth school in a year. Whatever that is, but here's the deal:
It's depth. It's depth.
He's hunkering down, I think. So I've got an article ready for it. Whenever he hunkers down, we're ready. So
I think it's just depth, right? Like
100%.
But from a Georgia perspective,
Yep.
From a Rashada perspective, it's a glimmer of a new shot, right? He's got to be realistic in knowing that he's not going to walk in and beat Carson Beck out right now. But I think
Yep.
in his mind, he thinks he can come in and beat out Gunnar Stockton or whoever's going to come in behind him as freshman next year. And so now you're right back in the game with
Yep.
a bigger name school and an actual national contender as opposed to ASU or when he was at Florida previously or signed to Florida previously.
Well, from what I hear, the Classic City actually pays when you get NIL, unlike other collectives allegedly may or may not do. I can neither confirm nor deny, but Chomp Chomp may have not paid their debts, and that's why
Oh, well, that's definitely why he left. The figure was ridiculous.
Allegedly, it's alleged because we don't have those numbers. We don't want to be sued for slander, Rob. Allegedly, that's why he left.
What? Maybe that's fine. That's fine.
Maybe the pollen got to him, and he had to go out to the desert to get that dry heat. But here's but to be real with Rashada, because that's probably about the biggest name out there. I know we got the Oregon State running back that's going to go to Miami. You're not seeing those big movements.
Not at all.
But I think what that is like for him, why not stay in Arizona? Kenny Dillingham's got a really good offense. He's got something where he can put up some video game numbers. It's problematic that this kid's moving again, and I'm going to say it right now. He's going to come to Georgia. He ain't going to be the starter. You can take my receipt for it. So I'm all in on Gunner. Former South Carolina commit Gunner Stockton.
Yes, absolutely, and also nearly South Carolina commit Oscar Delp probably catching the ball from him at some point in that process. So bridges will cross later. South Carolina did get number 2 linebacker in the nation out of Noonan, Georgia in the class of 2026 committed yesterday. Nice. Over South Carolina beat out Georgia and Auburn for that. So it's off in the future a little bit. They got the number 7 quarterback in the 2026 class as well. So Beamer's at least got some recruiting.
We got time, brother. We got time.
Glimmers coming down the road. There's plenty to talk about. With the portal, though.
Gunner was committed early and then he flipped. So
that's true.
We got time.
Well, that's because of coaching changes. If we're gonna be completely honest, I mean, he wanted Bobo. That's really what it was. There's a family connection. Anyway, so
the portal.
Yes, it's typical. The portal. I think for once, I love the honesty that's happening in college football.
Yep.
Because during this spring window, you're getting mutually beneficial cuts. You're telling guys, if you stick around, you're going to get buried on the depth chart. Whereas in the past, what coaches would have done is kept that information under wraps so that they could stack the depth on their rosters. Yep. I think that, one of the first times I saw this was maybe 2-3 years ago, whenever it was at Baylor, when Miranda told the previous starting quarterback, hey, you've gotten beat out in the offseason, and he went to South or somewhere like that. And I think he's maybe back in the portal looking for number 3. But it was a breath of fresh air to say, hey, man, I don't want to just bury you on the bench. Yep. You're too talented. You started for us last year. Go somewhere else where you can be the starter, because it's just not going to be the thing here. And as for a coach, you, especially at the quarterback position, right, you're setting yourself up for a potential disaster, because if you have an injury, you would have had a former starter to just bring in off the bench. Yep. But you chose to do what I would say, you chose to do the right thing. You chose to be honest with the kid, tell him what's going on, give him a chance to get out. And so I think that it's beneficial for some of these players as well to see,
Yep.
all right, I'm slipping. Maybe I need to move down a level. Maybe I just need to move to a different conference or a different area, something like that.
Mhm.
And it's obviously beneficial for the team because you're, like you said, you're getting to 85 and you're clearing space. And
Yeah.
you may need to bring somebody in. You may need that space um, from other players that have gotten into the portal that are going to be positions of need and whatnot. So I appreciate it. The ones that are questions to me, Rashada is one.
Yep.
Tyler Barron, edge from Tennessee,
Yep.
10 and a half tackles for loss, 6 sacks in 2023. Goes into the portal in December. Goes to Louisville.
Yep.
Goes through winter, spring. He's now back in the portal. So the question for
That's
me
the
on
second
somebody,
one. That's the second one though for Louisville, because Louisville had the ball kid from Toledo, the running back, also
correct.
come in and then hit it. So what's Brom doing wrong there?
That's exactly. So my question is it just not a fit at Louisville, or is it a red flag on somebody like Tyler Barron that you're in the portal twice in a 3-month period? That's kind of where my not necessarily critiques on this spring portal lie, but it's what is the I don't know. That's a question mark for me. Is this more of a school issue or a player issue, or is it just going to be case by case, and we're going to have to really look at it closely and not put blanket labels, which will be impossible
Right.
because
So,
national
so
media will throw blanket labels all day.
did you transfer all in college?
I did not.
So I went to U of M Dearborn 2 years, Wayne State for a year and a half. Took classes at 2 different community colleges, and then I graduated from Georgia State. What would the narrative be about Craig versus Rob?
The narrative about you would be that you can't settle anywhere. That
We know
there's
that
something,
from my opinions.
but that you or that you're causing problems and being asked to leave.
Right.
If it was a football situation.
Right, and I guess that's the thing. Like I know it's problematic, and I also know how hard the hell it is to transfer when you're going from place to place, you're doing this stuff. But at the end of the day, these kids' choice. It's like,
Yeah.
and it's problematic. But guess what? They went through spring ball, and you know what? Jeff Brom's offense didn't fit. I don't know how Jeff Brom doesn't fit for like the Toledo running back. I don't get it. The Tennessee edge, maybe the Grove Collective probably called, and Lane might need one more. I don't know,
Well,
but like
he was committed in the winter portal to Ole Miss, and then dropped his commitment and went to Louisville. So maybe you're right.
Listen, Lane understands it's a business decision, and Lane won't have an issue bringing him back, so it'll be all good.
I think, and that's a good theory on him. And I mean, obviously, we're getting off on one player, but what is why are you leaving Tennessee in the first place? If they're going to be a top 10, 15 school in the nation theoretically next year, on the edge of that, you're the top edge on the team. You're going to have a chance to go to the playoff at least. Everybody's as high on Nico's. He's the best thing since sliced bread. He's just going to waltz in there and just carve everybody to
Not
pieces.
Jackson Dart.
I don't know. That's a good segue for us though, because also we have the spring games that have been happening over the past couple of weeks, and I use that word games very lightly, especially in terms of Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. You have a hot dog eating contest, you have a dunk contest.
Bring your Yeti. 21 or older.
You have what was it? Only red zones on the field. They shorten the field.
Yep.
So it's all scoring.
Yep.
I heard
and then Morgan Whalen came out and rocked on Saturday night in Oxford.
I heard somebody say this.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not an original thought, but I agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Lane's trolling again.
100%.
Because spring games have fallen to the culture of, well, what if somebody gets hurt? There's just so much pressure to not practice, which is stupid. Like, how do we get better at football? Well, you play football.
Right.
So, but if we're going to be scared and timid and shrink back, and you're going to get criticized for putting players in bad positions and they're going to get hurt and blah, blah, blah,
Yep.
Then Lane said, okay, let's full tilt the other direction and just make it an absolute show for the football fans. What's left for us from a spring game perspective? I
But here,
titled this
so,
this
but
section "The
so,
Lost Art of the Spring Game" because like
but it's
what's happened? It's not really a game.
but here's the deal. Lane unlocked the party. What is the
Sure.
why did Ludacris uh perform during Kirby Smart's first G-Day?
Yeah.
It is all about fan engagement and fan entertainment. Football is secondary in the spring. The spring game is to promote, bring hype, bring excitement, bring eyeballs, bring money, bring whatever it is. And you know what? Lane is the lightning rod, but he's our new Nick Saban. Saban's gone, and he's going to have the party. So I absolutely loved what Lane did with the party in this thing because it's not going to be about football in the spring. You know what's going to be about football? When Vaught is packed on a Saturday night in December and they have some crappy Big Ten team coming in and they're going to get housed because there's going to be a big party going on in the SIP and the Grove's going to be there. And then Rob and Craig will be there too, just to make sure we are getting all the information in there. But like that's the thing is like, what is it any different? Georgia had a spring game, great. You know what? Arch threw the shit out of the ball, right? But like, here's the deal: it's not live. It's going 7-on-7. Is that better? Like, what is it better what Sark did? Like Lane's best friend did down in Austin, letting Quinn sit. Now he's going to have the hear about Quinn and Arch all summer long. Like, is that better? Is that something?
He threw for 375.
He's so
Basically
good.
on air. Basically on air. He is good. He
How could
is
you? How
good.
far? How
But
much could you throw for on air? By the way, like, what would you know? Would you hit triple digits?
I'd hit triple digits.
You would not.
I would
You
hit
would
triple
not.
digits.
Listen, as the JV scout team quarterback, as I was an assistant coach, I wouldn't hit triple digits. I mean,
I'll
I
I'll
did triple digits interceptions probably.
I'll fall back to my high school senior days, early days in college when my best friend was a college wide receiver and asked me to throw in balls for practice, and I just lock. That's on air. I just lock into that. Just lock into that
Was there a
mode.
cornerback there? Was there a cornerback there?
What we're not talking about me today, Craig. We're just talking about we're talking about spring
No.
game.
But that's my question to you. Is like let's look at those two examples because we're taking Georgia and South Carolina for bias. Sark runs a more traditional game. Arch throws Arch throws it out, airs it out. Lane has a party. Guess what? Everybody's still happy in Oxford.
No,
Everybody's still happy. Yeah.
I don't think it matters. I'm just saying for the true football fan who is craving football, we got to
Yep.
go watch the UFL. We got to go watch the UFL
No
because
one's doing that. No.
no, and I feel bad about it honestly because I want to watch football and I just forget that it's on.
100%.
I
It's
just
not.
forget it's on.
So you don't forget, as my seventh grade teacher said when I said I forgot to do my homework. You didn't forget. It just wasn't important enough for you to remember.
That's true. That's true. And part of that is that they tried to do a better job of marketing it, but they haven't marketed it as well. It's kind of like baseball. They don't market the MLB at all, and it's just because Fox has it more than ESPN and yada yada. But anyway, spring games. It's not much for us as a football fan, and
Yep.
unless you're looking at individual performances from a pure athletic standpoint,
Yep.
that's the only thing that we can grab. So let's look at Texas because you're not getting any of that in Ole Miss, really,
Yep. Yep.
because it is a party. It's really hard to look at it.
Hey, did you
Toss out
realize
Arch.
Bond from Alabama went to Texas? By the way, Isaiah Bond, the receiver,
Yeah, I did.
Auburn's
Yeah,
our buddy
yeah, I
Phil's
did.
favorite receiver. I did not realize. So I saw something on social media. I'm like, damn, Sark is lethal. I love it. That's why he's going to win the SEC this year. Lock it
They have a lot.
down.
Okay, so Craig is teasing something that I hope to get to next week, which are my full SEC or predictions, game by game breakdowns for
Yep.
2024.
Yep.
They're done. They're locked and loaded, and I think we just need to talk about them next week because I was surprised at myself. Let me just say that. I was surprised at myself. I do have one team standing above the rest at 12-0 at the end of the season, but I believe I have 3 11-1 schools. So could get interesting as the SEC loads up the
Don't
playoff.
get cocky.
Anyway,
Don't get cocky. Is all I'm going to say. Nope.
we'll see. That's the only for the. All right, not much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Airport. The airport is lovely. Yeah. So, yeah. So the spring game thing. I think you're looking at offense, defensive line play. Our
Yep.
linebackers more athletic? Or can they track down this running back? Does a running back make somebody miss in space? Just little flashes of things. I'm not looking at quarterback play really at all unless it's just atrocious on air because almost everybody can be good. I'm not
Yep.
saying Arch isn't good. I'm just saying in a spring game environment where you can't be touched and you have a receiver 25 yards behind the defense and you chunk up a 75-yard touchdown and it gets blasted all over every social media outlet that
Yep.
exists from every sports media company that's out there. That's not something to get hyped about. You ask how many yards I would have, I can make that throw.
But here's the deal. That was Big 12 football in the 2000s. That was Lane Kiffin, LSU. I mean, like that's foot, but this is college football now. Like, if you don't like offense, go to Iowa. And it's like, but that's the thing. I know it's the 7-on-7. I know it's the air, but like, it's not that much different than the regular season. You know, like it's. Am I wrong? But like, it's not because like defenses are at such a disadvantage, even if you were not playing quarterback.
Yeah, that's funny. Defenses are at a disadvantage, and as a lifelong Patriot fan, I heard an interview with Tom Brady last weekend.
Yeah.
Or maybe 2 weeks ago, he did a barbershop interview or whatever, and they asked him about defenses in football in general, and he was very vocal that he is not on board with the advantages that are being given to offenses and how a defense is at a total disadvantage, and they're shaping the game just to be high scoring fireworks.
Yep.
And one of the statements that stands out to me that he said was, if you are a ball carrier and I'm coming to hit you as a defender, it's not my responsibility as a defender to protect you.
Yep.
It's your responsibility to protect yourself. And I think that's such a fair statement that we've lost. And we've just tried to take all the elements out. And they were really talking about the hip drop thing in the NFL where it's another penalty for another type of defensive maneuver to get somebody on the ground. I don't know how they're going to tackle.
I don't know how you tackle. You just don't see it, or you get what Kenny Pickett did with the fake slide. It's just like, so yeah. I'm not sure. To me, it's like spring. Just go enjoy it, and if you don't enjoy it, just go yell at some kids to get off your lawn.
Yeah, that's really the attitude. I got a lot of. I'll talk South Carolina for just 30 seconds here.
Yeah.
Didn't throw the ball downfield.
Yep.
It's going to be a run-first offense. I think the offensive line is built to run block better than pass protect. You have a quarterback who's 6'4", 245, with wheels. Now he's got a great arm and he's got a good head on his shoulders, and he's a good thrower of the football. So it's not like that's not a part of his game. I think he's a better passer than KJ Jefferson, but you have a body type of a KJ Jefferson, a body type of even a Cam Newton, and so you have that element where you're gonna run the quarterback.
Yep.
So you don't throw the ball downfield. There was no attempts 25 plus yards. The longest passes of the game were receivers over the middle catching the ball at 10 to 15 yards.
Yeah.
And they got maybe another 5 to 7 yards. And so there was no completions that actually went for 25 yards because the longest passes were low 20s.
Yeah.
People in uproar about it. Okay. It's the spring. It's just what you said. Go tell kids to get off your lawn.
Yeah.
You're not going to you're not going to uncork the whole thing in the spring. You have all new receivers. All the returning receivers are sophomores.
Yep.
None of them played last year. You got a handful of transfers and true freshmen. So who's going to go out and make a play?
Well,
I don't know.
and the thing is too, you're gonna run that quarterback and he's that big. You're gonna take the Gus Malzahn offense. You're gonna run them, and then your deep shot's gonna be open. And they put 8 in the box.
That's 100%. That's how it's gonna roll. And I think South Carolina has 4 legitimate running backs this
Yeah,
year.
yeah, you talked
And
about that.
yeah, I mean, your number one guy is an all SEC back in Rocket Sanders from Arkansas. He's
Yep.
hurt. He's out for the spring. Your utility guy is more of a third down, quick twitch type of dude. Broken collarbone out for the spring. So you got 2 transfers coming in that
Yep.
got the lion's share here in the spring, and they look good.
Yep.
So, you know,
Grab a Snickers. Everything will be fine. By the way, Snickers, you can sponsor the pod too.
Yeah, I'm totally down. I'll eat Snickers every time we record. Hey, we'll be right back in just a second for the last word here. Welcome back to It Just Means More Football and Coffee. It is time for the last word. Again, I'm Rob Williams. He is Craig McMichael. Let's talk for just a second. I want to read you a quote. Ross Dellinger put out this quote this week. We've talked Super League, where we're headed in college football. So we're excited about. If you're listening on podcast, he's violently shaking his head right now. Craig is not on board for a 64-team Super League because, quote, 64 is too many.
I think
We'll
people.
see.
I think people in our writers' chat thought we were fighting the other night, where we were going back and forth at it.
And we've just had this discussion a million times. I think we're headed there. It's going to look like basketball. Anyway, all right. So, quote from Ross Dellinger. This is Greg Sankey on the Super League. Sankey says, "I haven't talked about the Super League, and I'm not going to do it today. The fact that people have interest in throwing ideas out, that's up to them. I spend my time on what I have to do." End quote.
You play to win the game. And what he just said.
Shout out to Herb.
Nope. I love you, Greg Sankey. I know that we fought over 8-9 game schedules, but Greg and I, we're on the same page. Go and talk, Syracuse and West Virginia. No one's gonna listen to you.
That's fair. I think that is what screams to me the most out of this quote. Is you said it when you said Syracuse and West Virginia.
Yep.
The power players are not talking. We've said this for years in college athletics, and let's look at basketball for a second so we can be more objective and not get into our whatever. The court storming incident with Duke and Cal Filipowski in the middle of the year.
Yep.
Court storming issues. It also happened with Caitlin Clark in Iowa.
Yep.
So you have court storming issues that happen in other areas of college basketball, but it's not lost on me that it got a lot of traction because it's Duke. It got a lot of traction because it's Caitlin Clark. We've seen in the past when Nick Saban opened his mouth and Alabama complained about a rule change or a regulation or a shift in the landscape, there was some course correction. People actually began to listen. In this case, you've got West Virginia, you've got Syracuse and schools of the like. No power players are making moves yet. I don't think
there are
Sankey
no power players left.
I think Sankey's opposed, but it's not the time because you can't maximize it right now. Yep. It's frustrating to me because I know that we're going to eventually roll the ball all the way to the bottom of the hill. Yep. And it just feels like we keep pushing the ball, and as soon as it picks up some momentum, somebody comes along and puts their foot on it and stops it halfway down.
Yep. How much are you going to
the hill? And we have to sit there for 2 or 3 years before we begin to roll the ball down the hill again. I know that we're going there, but when he makes a statement like that, when Sankey makes a statement like he did, you're absolutely right. We're going nowhere.
Nope. How much are you gonna pick at me when we expand? And I'm wrong and you're right.
I'm not gonna say much. I'm just gonna sit back.
Oh, you are. I'm just gonna sit.
I'm just gonna sit back and smirk because my predictions will come
true. You're gonna start shaking your head.
You know what I'm looking at more is what we're going to talk about next week with these record predictions because that's a shorter time window. So I'm really anxious to see how accurate I can be across the league with these record predictions. There are some very predictable records in there, and there's a couple of reaches where I'm stretching it a little bit. in terms of what other people may think.
Right.
I'm giving my completely honest opinion.
Okay.
We got a lot of feedback in the writer chat, so I'm interested to see what we can get into looking at that. But before we do that,
Yep.
what you got coming up this week on Last Word?
So I've got a piece ready. Georgia got a big quarterback commit out of Ohio last week for class of 2025. Also have a piece coming out on Rashada. May look at the portal, but honestly, like I said, it's cleaning the house. It's not something of interest. Probably more importantly, what I'll look at is do something with the draft recap. I know looking at that Philadelphia Eagle connection. What about you, my friend?
Well, as of the release of this episode, I had a piece that came out on Thursday that is recap questions coming out of the spring for South Carolina. So really looking at the offensive line, quarterback position, and the lack of playmakers at receiver. And so next week, I'm going to just hone in on the South Carolina record. I think for us here on the show, we can look at the whole of the SEC. But for my responsibilities at Last Word, I'm going to look just at South Carolina and kind of give us a breakdown, that pre-summer breakdown of the schedule, and look at what and kind of outline what my projections are for each one of those games. Also looking at the portal a little bit because South Carolina's looking for a receiver. So whenever that shoe drops,
Okay.
I'll probably have something. I'll probably have something there. So whether that's next week or not, I don't know. I know right now they've got a kid that's a transfer from Florida State that's coming in to visit. His high school measurables were like 6'1", 167, which is not really what they're looking for. They've got like 8 guys that are those kind of speedier 6 foot range type of receivers.
Yeah.
They need a 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", outside of Nick Harbor, who is breaking records and getting ready to try out for the Olympics on the track. So he's not at spring practice. So yeah, not a whole lot of size out there. So we're going to look at that a little bit, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. That's what we got coming up at Last Word. Hope you have a safe flight home. Everybody out there, enjoy the bottom of your cup of coffee. Finish up your biscuit. Make sure you wipe the gravy off the edge of that plate as you're finishing breakfast this morning with us. And we are excited to see what happens.
Hunker down if you're ready. Hunker down if you're ready.
Spring's over. It's time for talking season. We're headed straight for summer. We'll see you next week on It Just Means More Football and Coffee.
Later.